It's been over 4 hours of intensive operations in Nagrota with the army firefighting with at least 3 suicide squad terrorists in the army unit. Now, one terrorist has been killed. Explosions were heard. One army jawan has also been martyred in the operations. For the moment, 2 more terrorists believed to be hiding in the area. My colleague Shuja is joining us on the story, and Ashwini also with us. First, going to you, Ashwini, give us more details of the information coming in.
Yeah, Devina, we have a latest information that one terrorist has been neutralized and one of our army jawan has martyred, and 2 to 3 people are more injured, and operation is going on. This is the general area of Nagrota, but inside the area, this is just 1 kilometer inside the army camp. This is the Balani Nala. This is the village called Jagiri, and they have been trapped there, and the 3 to 4 terrorists are inside the camp, and per the reports, they fired on the security guard and inside the area. This is a big area, around 10 to 15 kilometers inside the area. There are a number of villages inside the area.
Okay.
All is a forest area, and conflict is still going on, and they have been trapped, and army has encircled them, and they are give a befitting reply to the terrorists. Yeah.
Okay, so let me go across to my colleague Shuja. Now, Shuja, how many more terrorists are believed to be holed up in the area?
Well, Divina, the initial number was about 3 to 4 who had, stormed the building, or rather the camp, the field regiment camp. And now what we are learning is that one of these militants has been killed, and the remaining are still engaging the security forces, in a gunfight. Now we've been also told that special forces commandos have been sent in, and they are at the forefront of engaging these militants. Like you were pointing out, it has been more than 4 hours now that this gunfight has been raging on, and we've been constantly saying that the sources are saying that these militants were heavily armed. They were trained very well. They perhaps had planned this attack for a long time because they knew the exact spot through grenades at the sentry posts where they injured these jawans, and then they managed to enter the camp. That is the worrying part, that they did manage to enter the camp, and afterwards they engaged the initial quick response teams of the army, in which one of the soldiers was killed. And now what we are learning from our sources is that a massive gunfight is going on, and as I was pointing out, it is the special forces which are at the forefront now carrying out this operation. And at the same time, Levina, like you've been pointing out, there is an alert that has been sounded across the highway. The paramilitary forces, particularly the CRPF, has been told to be very vigilant, suspecting the fact that there could be more such attacks that can happen.
All right, as an alert has been sounded across Srinagar as well, and Shuja, are we getting more details to our viewers of how we are entering the 5th hour of the operation? One army jawan has been martyred, one terrorist has been killed in this Nagrota area where 16 Corps is based out of. We're also getting reports of how there could be a retaliation from the Indian forces. One park hand is established. Also getting us an exclusive report is my colleague Ashwini. Let's take a look.
This is the Nagrota area. I am just standing, and this is the area. This is the backside of the area where the terrorist has been encircled, and you can see the right side of this area. There is one area that most of the you can see that trees are there. The terrorist has been encircled inside this area, and they are in a different direction. They are not in a one building, and you can see how the firing is still going on. There is intermittent firing from the terrorist side. They are not using their ammunition well, but from our side we are firing heavy guns are using. We are firing a RL also they launched, and there are blasts inside the area, but they have been encircled, and most of the family area they have been vacated. There are some family members also. This is around 10 to 15 kilometer area. Inside the area there is a famous temple also, but the people have been told not to move out of these buildings. The terrorists will be killed immediately because the army has cordoned the area, and 3 to 4 terrorists will be killed, and the commandos have taken over the position. They are going inside the building. Ashwin Kumar for India Today in Nagrota.
Getting more developing news, an unfortunate one at that. 2 army jawans have been martyred in the operations that is underway in Nagrota in Jammu. 2 army men have lost their lives while fighting with the terrorists who are now hiding at the headquarters Army 16 Corps. My colleague Shuja joining us on the story. Shuja, can you also give us details of how these terrorists have now been cordoned off in one particular area in the base camp? What is the next challenge for the security forces?
Well, and the next challenge would be to cover this operation as soon as possible. Let's remember that it is the encounter is entering into the 5th hour, and we have already seen 2 casualties happening to the army, and out of which one is believed to be an officer. So that is one of the major concerns that would remain there with the forces who are engaging these militants, that the damage should be minimized as much as possible. But now the fact is that these militants have been cornered. That's what the sources are saying, that their areas have been identified, and special forces have been put into service, and they are carrying out this operation from here on. So that is one good news, that the security forces are telling us that they know they have identified the place where these militants are now hiding. Remember, Devina, it is the initial surprise that is more dangerous in situations like these, because these militants always have the surprise element with them, and the way that these militants have stormed the camp, it clearly looked that they knew what they were doing. They were armed to the teeth. They perhaps had recce'd the place. They knew they knew the area also somewhat, and that's why they could manage to enter the camp. But now, like I was pointing out, their location has been pinpointed, and special forces are zeroing in. They are engaging them in gunfight, like Ashwari was also showing us in these visuals from the ground. The militants are not firing that much, and that's the modus operandi that they always use. Once they are inside the camp or an installation, they try to save their ammunition as much as possible, and the security forces perhaps are also not in a hurry. Their major concern would be to limit the damage, human loss to own side, and they can keep on carrying out the operation for as long as it happens, to tire them out, to also ensure that no more casualties are taken. Like we were pointing out, 2 of the jawans, out of which one is an officer, has already lost their lives, and we have 2 more who are injured in this entire attack.
But 2 army jawans have been martyred as per the latest report coming in. Shuja, keeping a close eye on the development, also getting a reaction from the government. This is Manish Mehta, the defense PRO, who's spoken out. Now, once again, the focus is on the vulnerability of our key army installations. We've seen the Uri attack in the army base camp in September. We've seen the Pathankot pre-dawn attack where 6 terrorists barged in to the high security airbase in Pathankot, and now once again in Nagrota, the headquarters of 16 Army Corps unit has been come under the radar for terror activity. Changing tactic from Pakistan, interesting time as well, because today is when the Pak Army Chief Lieutenant General Bajwa is taking over reign from General Rahil Sharif. 2 weeks, 7th attack of terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir, and more focus in the Jammu region is now building up. Shuja, as we taking our viewers through the information that's coming in from Nagrota of how terror plot is unfolding in Jammu and specifically being targeting the army installations.
Well, that's right. In fact, Devina, these were the apprehensions that the security experts already had. Remember, after the Uri attack and the subsequent surgical strikes that the Indian Army announced that they've carried out on the other side of the line of control, there was an apprehension that there could be some sort of a retaliation in terms of both cross-border shelling as well as increase in the number of attacks on the ground in the valley and other parts, and that's exactly what has happened.
Okay.
We are now looking at a siege series of these attacks that have been mounted, after
Well,
the Uri
Shuja,
attack.
be
And
with me. I'm
this,
sorry to interrupt you, but we have Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad who's joining us right now. General Prasad, first, your assessment of how there is a crucial timing in play. New Pak Army Chief coming in. Is this the tone and tenor that's been set for the Pak Army Chief to take over the reins? That proxy war would continue on the Indian soil.
I wouldn't like to relate it to the change of Army Chief. I don't think it is directly related to it, but it is directly related to the kind of state-sponsored policy that the government of Pakistan and the Pakistan Army military is following. We must understand that while Raheel Sharif, an Army Chief, may be retiring today and a new Chief may be taking over tomorrow, it is not going to immediately take effect on ground. So it is not completely related to the change of Chief. As far as the policy on terrorism is concerned, Nawaz Sharif had a policy which was being architected, which was being formulated by President Zia-ul-Haq 25 or 30 years ago, and since then India has been a victim of terrorism as a result of the policy or the philosophy or the technique or the strategic weapon that Zia-ul-Haq invented and has implemented on India, has been putting it on India. Now successive chiefs have continued to do the same, and therefore to say that this chief, the new coming chief Bajwa, is going to do any different is, I don't think, fair amount of assessment at the moment. But yes, it is correct that ever since surgical strikes have taken place, the Pakistan military and the Pakistan government and the Pakistan terrorist groups have been terribly rattled, and they do not understand what to do and how to do, because anything larger than 2 or 3 militants here and there attacking is nothing more than they are capable of doing, nor is the Indian Army or the Indian Armed Forces going to let them do. So Nagrota is one such target which is happening today.
But General, if I may, Gaurav Sawant here. General, there is a pattern to these terror attacks, whether it's Pathankot, Uri, or now Nagrota. Are we found wanting somewhere, General? Why is it that these terrorists are succeeding each time?
See, you're absolutely right, Gaurav, and nice to talk to you anyway. See, Pathankot, Udhampur, Jammu, Doda, all these things are happening in a sequential manner. They continue to have a similar modus operandi. Last time they targeted a very important VA at Pathankot. This time they have targeted another very important VA in Nagrota, where there's an active corps headquarters, one of the largest corps and the most potent frontline army of the Indian Army. You see, the point is this, that they are not able to do anything more than this. Now, your question is slightly differently poised, which is to say, is there something wanting? You see, while one may say, yes, there is something wanting, but the other point is this, that these targets cannot be protected 100% from 2 people sneaking into it and creating some kind of terrorist activity. You must have been to Nagrota and must have seen that the corps headquarters is practically on a kind of an open plateau with, of course, deep ravines and rivers around it and some low-level mountains. And the national highway passes through the middle of this corps headquarters, which is by itself a serious constraint. And so millions of buses and transport and trucks and etc., pass through that area. To be able to assess every single man who's crossing is humanly impossible. Therefore, and let me also clarify, Gaurav, that these people may not have come overnight. They must have been here for a while. They must have been here under a safe house. Now, the next question you'll ask me, well, why are these safe houses not eliminated? Yes, they should be eliminated. The police and the other intelligence agencies must look at these. I've often said to you that these intelligence agencies must locate these sympathizers, must locate those places which are being developed as logistic bases by these militant groups. And that is what we should go offensively to target them. So that is one part. As far as the defensive part is concerned, Gaurav, it is impossible to defend every inch of the ground. Sneaking of 2 people is possible anywhere, while it may not be so easy now in a Pathankot base, which is guarded for all round. But the Nagrota corps headquarters is not guarded all round, even though there are barricades on the national highway, even though there are a large number of troops guarding various VAs and VPs within Udhampur. But to be able to get to them is not impossible. So while you are saying there's something wanting, okay, I'll grant you that to a point, but the more important issue is we must locate by our intelligence sources, by our police and what you may call as local people, as to where these bases are being created, where these logistic bases are being created in small houses where 2 or 3 people go and hide for a length of time, carry out reconnaissance.
And more important, General, in your opinion, is it time for India to start hitting at the source of terror more frequently, not just one surgical strike, not just one raid? Because often our response is very reactive. We are a peace-loving country. We react in case Pakistan does something. We should react to intelligence inputs and repeatedly hit them before they hit us in our house.
Yes, I agree with you to an extent. You see, go back to the 2 or 3 major statements made soon after the Uri incident. One was by the military. We will respond at the date and time if we're choosing as and when we feel like. The second response was that the Prime Minister of India, he is attempting to develop a national strategic response to combat terrorism and to eliminate for permanence. And the third one you heard soon thereafter, a day or so later, was from the RM, the Raksha Mantri, who said there can be knee-jerk reactions as well. And so if you divide these on a canvas, you will find that there are certain tactical responses with the military and at some level the armed forces, will I say, Army, Navy, and Air Force put together can put through. But this development of strategic offensive, which the Prime Minister is thinking about, has got many weapons to be harnessed together. One is the military.
Yes.
One is the demonetization of justice. A lot of people will not be giving much credit towards demonetization to combat terrorism. Certainly, it has affected them. And thereafter, there will be some more issues coming up, which I don't know, Prime Minister himself can come out with. Something like water, something like economic, something like political, diplomatic, whatever else he's got weapons in his arsenal, which he may be developing. But remember, the armed forces need a little more time to get ready for a more serious combat. Just these surgical strikes may have some temporary effect, and they will have a response like the one that you're having these days. But to really combat terrorism and to eliminate it from its roots, we need to get more time to prepare the military, we need more time to prepare the armed forces and the nation. Are we prepared in Delhi? Are we prepared? Is the railways prepared?
Absolutely. That national preparedness, high time the country starts preparing to give a befitting response, and it has to be a national response to Pakistan-sponsored terror. General, stay with me for a moment. My colleague Shuja ul Haq joins us with more. Shuja, one incident in Samba, fortunately 3 terrorists neutralized. One incident in Nagrota, where apparently now 2 terrorists have been neutralized. But there still is a terror alert. There is a JNK-wide terror alert. Give us details, Shuja.
Well, that's right, Gaurav. In fact, after the Nagrota attack, the entire national highway and the troops, on the national highway, particularly the paramilitary forces, have been asked to be alert and vigilant. Remember, we've been talking about it. There are, intelligence sources, and in fact, the government itself has said that close to 200 militants are in the state, and about 100 of them are those who have recently infiltrated, and the rest perhaps locally trained. So that is a huge cause of concern, a massive worry that these militants are in and are possible elements for carrying out more such attacks. And we are witnessing these things happening on the ground. In last 15 days, we are seeing 7th attack happening in the state.
All right, Shuja, Gaurav, be with us. We have to slip into a very short break, but also more news on the other side is a report coming in that how there's been a plane crash, a Brazilian plane which has crashed in Colombia with the soccer players on board.